What is it about your style that makes it so successful for things like that to happen on the field?
Well, I think having 15 years of experience as a head coach has helped me a lot because when you're the special teams coordinator, you've got to manage the entire roster. You got to build relationships with every player on the roster. You want to develop every single guy on the roster from perhaps your starting quarterback who might be a backup holder all the way down to the walk-on that just joined your team. So having that experience running programs at different levels has really helped me making the transition to a special teams coordinator because of that big picture approach.
In your 15th year, what is the one thing that you know now that you wish you knew your first year?
Oh, there's so many things. I think being adaptable is the most important. I had a routine that we operated a certain way of organizing things at those 3 different stops as a head coach. And in the last 4, now going on 5 years, being a special teams coordinator at 3 different places, you get exposed to different ways of doing things. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it's like going back and getting a PhD in coaching in my late 40s. And so the last several years have been really fun for me, exciting for me, also pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I think if I ever go back somewhere down the road and become a head coach again, I'll be even better at it because of what I've learned these last few years.
Your first year when you were as a coach, something you were right about and something you were wrong about?
You know what? My first year as a head coach, I was 31 years old.
Okay.
And I think the best thing that I did was not fix things that weren't broken. Similar to what Coach Silverfield's going through here at Memphis, I was promoted. We were a successful program. And being able to step back and look at all the things that were good and not changing things just for the sake of change, I think that was one of the best decisions that I made. There have been times when I probably should have been more willing to change and more willing to push out of my comfort zone. And I think these last 3 or 4 years, going back and being an assistant and being in some different programs, I don't have a bunch of big regrets, but there's always things you could have done differently.
How difficult is that to balance between not fixing things that aren't broken and doing the things your way without breaking it?
Yeah, I think it all gets back to being comfortable with yourself, right? And if you're comfortable with yourself and you've surrounded yourself with good people that you can trust to do their jobs, you don't feel the need to necessarily make some of those moves just for the sake of making it. And one thing I will say about Ryan Silverfield is he's a really good person. He's very comfortable with himself, and I think that is allowing him to make a smooth transition into this role.
What's your favorite thing about this city?
Favorite thing about
this city?
Memphis? Oh, there's so many great things about this city, but it is the people for sure. People told me when I got here, if you love Memphis, it will love you back. And there is absolutely no question about that. I have lived here now 13 months, and I feel like it's been 13 years in a good way because of the relationships that my family and I have made. We have enjoyed the people. It's been a wonderful, wonderful place to live.
That's something we hear often. So from your point of view, what is an example of a way the city loves you back?
I think the size of our city allows you to connect with people very easily in a meaningful way. People are very approachable here. People are very willing to help and give back here. And obviously being involved with the football program at Memphis puts you in a position to meet a lot of different people. So you get to see that firsthand, maybe a little bit more easy than somebody else that moves in and goes to work for some company or something like that. But there is no question that willingness to go the extra mile for people exists here.
When you found out you were doing this today, what's the one question you thought you would have to answer that you haven't been asked yet?
Oh, I figured some people would want to know how we're going to replace guys like Antonio Gibson and Chris Claybrooks. Obviously some big playmakers on special teams that are graduating and hopefully having a chance to move on and continue to play.
How would you answer that question?
very simply. When I got hired 13 months ago, I got asked the exact same question, how we were going to replace those tailbacks that were going to the NFL that obviously had a big impact on special teams, and other players stepped up. We presented guys with opportunities. Hopefully we prepared them well to step into those roles, and they responded. In 2020, it's a new year. There are new challenges, but there are new opportunities for guys to step up.